Analyst Taufiq Rahim, who joins me now live from Dubai. Good to have you on the show. So we've heard the US Defense Secretary Mark Esper calling this a game changer. What do you understand by that comment?
Well, it's a game changer from all sides, not just from the US perspective, but from the Iranian perspective, the Iraqi perspective, and I think with regards to the international community. Qasem Soleimani was a major fixture in the Middle East scene, guiding, leading, and shaping many of the events over the last decade and a half. And the removal and assassination of him from Iraq, Iran, and beyond is going to have a game-changing effect on the region and the world at large. I think we do not fully understand the consequences of this as of yet.
And that is an important point. We don't understand the consequences fully of this yet. And what do you think then retaliation from Iran may look like?
Well, Iran may have some moves up its sleeve that it could undertake in the coming couple of weeks that were already in motion or could already be implemented by certain proxy forces. But more likely, it will use a period of mourning for Qasem Soleimani in Iran to consolidate its strength and support back home, as it also analyzes the structure of the Revolutionary Guard Corps to see where and when it can deploy its proxy forces to strike back at the US and allies in the region. But most likely we'll see those attacks materialize in 2 to 3 months rather than immediately in terms of the ones that will have more broader consequences.
And Taufiq, we're looking at pictures there of people protesting in Kerman in Iran. Domestically for Iran, what does this mean?
Well, domestically, it does affect the regime's stature, I think, in the population's eyes. Qasem Soleimani was, of course, a figure that was guiding a lot of Iranian activities in the region, but it projected strength back home that showed a strong Iran and showed a strong regime. And while in the short term there will be galvanization of people in support in a nationalistic fervor around Qasem Soleimani, I think it will also point to the fact that the Iranian regime itself is a little bit weaker today. And I think part of the response that Khamenei and his acolytes will be undertaking will not just be to send a message to the US, but to send a message back home in Iran that the regime is still strong and has still the ability to maintain its power both at home and abroad.
And who else do you think is on target for the United States? We saw very recently ISIS leader al-Baghdadi, now Qasem Soleimani, also Iraq's Mahdi al Muhandis. Who next?
Sorry, the feed has cut out.
My question, who do you think is on target next? We saw the assassination, the killing of the ISIS leader al-Baghdadi, and now Qasem Soleimani. Right. So my question to you is, who's next?
Well, it's very interesting that President Trump has followed through on President Obama's strategy of assassination rather than capture, and doing targeted strikes rather than holding territory. And I think as the U.S. looks towards Afghanistan and perhaps a peace deal there and withdrawing from there and withdrawing troops elsewhere in the region, that this target assassination policy and target strike policy may actually escalate. I would posit that this may happen most acutely in Afghanistan, and it might be some figures that are not so much on the public radar. I think it will become a norm for the U.S. under at least President Trump to start withdrawing forces, but then maintain the ability to strike in a very severe and perhaps effective way.
Thank you so much for your comments. Middle East analyst Taufiq Rahim joining us there from Dubai. Appreciate it.